when I'm in the process of writing a novel, and a first draft of a novel takes me about 2 to 3 months to write. And so when I'm in the thick of doing that, I start work at about 8:30 or 9 o'clock in the morning. I get my coffee and I just go to work. And I work till about 3 with lots of wandering of the house and going down for more coffee and looking for cookies and things like that. But I work till about 3. My goal is to write about 2,000 words or more every day. And so if you can manage that kind of a schedule, in 2 to 3 months, you have a novel. And so I very much treat it like a job. It's not, there's not a kind of, there's no romantic notion about writing for me. And that might come from the fact that I spent more than 30 years working in newspapers. And so writing is very much a job. It's a great job and I love it, but it's a job. And so I sit down and I think, I have work to get done, and I do it. I can't wait for some spirit or inspiration to move me. I just get down to work. I got my first job working in newspapers at the age of 22. And I worked at a couple of small Canadian papers for 4 years. And then I joined Canada's largest circulation paper, the Toronto Star, in 1981. And I worked at the Star for 27 years. When I was hired at the Toronto Star, I was hired as an editor. And I worked as an editor there for 12 years. I was a news editor, I was the chief copy editor, I was the life section editor, I was the assistant city editor. I did all these jobs, and then after 12 years I got a position as a columnist, or to write an opinion column 3 times a week. And my column was a humor column. It was satire, it was a funny column about everyday life, it was poking fun at politicians, and I wrote a few thousand of those over the 14 or 15 years that I did that job. And once my book started to become very successful, I mean, writing a novel a year and about 130 columns a year was killing me. And so when the book started to do well, I gave up newspapers. And so I haven't worked at a newspaper now for 6 or 7 years. My first reader, when I finish a manuscript, is my literary agent. She reads the book first, and she's not just a really good agent who represents me in dealings with publishers, but she's really an editor first. And she has a very good sense of story and what works and what doesn't. So she's the first one who reads my book. And in fact, I will send to her the first 100 pages of a book to see if she thinks it's working. Because it's better to catch, if you're going to go wrong in a book, it's good to catch it early. So she's my first reader. My wife doesn't read the books until they're actually in a completed form, or at least an advanced copy that is sent out to reviewers. That's when she reads it, because I want her to be able to enjoy the novel the way everybody else does. She really likes to read the novels, my wife does, when they're finished. And because I would hate to give her the book and say, here, read this is what I have so far, and then have to tell her, well, wait, I'm changing all of that, it's not good enough, I'm going to do it again, which I often do. So I wait until I've got it just right and it's finished, and then she reads it. And it's terrible to be the spouse of an author in the same house reading the book, because she's reading and I'm watching. And if she goes, oh, I say, what was that? What part? What part? It's awful to be an author's spouse.